Money Radio, discussing the business of making and spending money.
Hello, you're welcome to today's edition of Money Radio and Leadership Podcast. Money Radio, of course, is the program that brings you the latest development in Nigeria's business and economy cycles and issues of businesses around the world. My name is Innocent Odo, and today we are going to look at the ICT sector and how to make it even stronger in 2023. It is instructive here that the ICT sector has contributed immensely to the Nigeria's gross domestic product in 2022, contributing about 18.44% to the Nigerian economy and becoming, in fact, the non-oil sector platform that gives the best, if you ask me, for the Nigerian economy in 2023. And so today on Money Radio, we are going to look at the prospect and, of course, the challenges facing the sector and how we're going to address some of those challenges and strengthen the ICT sector to continue to add value to the Nigerian economy. And today we are looking at, if we say the issue of challenges confronting the sector, we look at how some Nigerian investors are finding it really difficult to establish some ICT-related companies. For instance, it's become common knowledge that the Nigerian economy is also in the sector. We have telecom operators like the Mobile Telecommunication Network, MTN. We have the Airtel, the Globalcoms, and the rest of them that have made a significant wave in Nigerian telecom industry. The operations of these organizations don't come easy because they also have to set up their masks. They have to also run some operations. And so it is really tasking investing in this ICT sector. And so very few companies have made it in the last couple of years and still sustain themselves in the business. And so we're going to look at why it is difficult for all Nigerians who may be wishing to put their money in this sector cannot achieve that objective. And so there are so many factors militating against this desire of a lot of investors to actually take opportunities in this sector and grow it and make it even bigger in the country. So these are some of the challenges we're going to look at and see how we will profile solutions to these challenges. I have been in the studio alone for now, but I will soon be joined by an ICT expert, my regular guest on the program, with whom I'm going to do justice to this very important program. And so ICT is very important to the Nigerian economy. Like I said earlier, it has continued to contribute immensely to the growth of our GDP. In the second quarter of 2022, the ICT sector contributed 18.44%. And so out of the digital economy sector, the ICT sector did very, very well in 2023. And the Nigerian Minister of Communications and Digital Economy, Professor Isa Ali Ibrahim Pantami, and the other members of his executive council have actually promised that 2023 will be a year that Nigerians will continue to deepen investment in the issue of in ICT, and of course try to reap the benefits of that investment. There are so many other policies and programs of government that have been formulated to intervene to tackle some of those challenges that we're having in this sector. And so we are going to look at why some of these companies are, only very few companies are thriving, for instance, in the ICT sector. For instance, there's what they call the high cost of establishment. Now, ICT is not just about mobile phones or televisions or softwares or hardwares and so on and so forth. It's also about the robotics, for instance. Now, this is one area that Nigerian sector has not really exploited the huge opportunities in this because of for obvious reasons. It's very difficult and very time and resource demanding for this sector, these particular areas of the sector to be established in Nigeria. So we look forward to the time, especially this year, when the Nigerian government, of course, we know they have a program on robotics. It may not have taken proper shape. It may not have been given the proper leverage, but it exists that we have the National Robotic Center. So it is time for the experts in the industry and the investors in the sector to collaborate to ensure that the area of robotics, including robotic intelligence, robotic training, and robotic studies, are established in the country, so that Nigerians will have an opportunity to leverage this particular development. Now, there's also issue that is complicated, like you may say lack of skilled labor is also a very big problem for Nigerians. Now, Nigeria has made significant improvement, no doubt, about in the ICT sector, which was why I mentioned that within the digital economy, the ICT has made significant contribution, and that contribution of 18.44% actually came from the effort, training, and expertise of Nigerians in that sector, which actually made this significant contribution. However, when it comes to the real technical experience, technical competence, technical skill required in other sectors, like we say robotics, for instance, Nigerians don't have a training of that nature in robotics, especially now that, for instance, in the universities, we do not have those kind of advantage. We simply believe that this year, the Nigerian government and stakeholders in the industry would collaborate to ensure that we develop more skilled labor in ICT to provide it with the needed coverage. We'll take a short break. When we come back, we will continue with the discussion. Don't go away.
For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.
Money Radio, discussing the business of making and spending money.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, you're on to Money Radio on Leadership Podcast, and we've been talking about how to strengthen the ICT sector in 2023. Remember, the year is just beginning, and I think everything is already started to take shape. So I now have in the studio an ICT expert and my regular guest who has just joined me to do justice to this very important topic. Welcome, Haniel Jafar.
Thank you for having me.
Good to see you once again.
It's a pleasure.
Now, ICT are part of the digital economy, and of course, with 2023, I think they made a very significant impact. Sorry, 2022, they made a significant impact in the Nigerian GDP, adding over 18.44% to the GDP. And of course, the effort is to ensure that it does better in 2023. However, there are so many challenges that we're now facing in the economy. The issue of lack of training, the issue of technical competence needed to power the sector, electricity sector that is also very important in ensuring that people also keep businesses and investment in the sector. And there's so many other things that surround building capacities in this. But let me first of all ask, before you go into some of the challenges, how do you see the performance of the ICT in 2022?
Well, it's been 2022 performance, as long as ICT is concerned, has been what I consider to be good. Looking at comparing it with how it has been growing consistently in the past years, starting from the 2020 COVID season down to its. I think there was a little drop in 2021, so it picked up in 2022. So I would say that it's been on a growth rate, and that growth path and that path tends to be something that has been consistent. So since it has not dropped below a certain percentage of the GDP, I think it means that we're picking up. But again, this is the least we can do, because the ICT sector is a sector that largely can power the country. It has the capability and the tendencies of the ability to run the country. There are different countries in the world that largely depend on their ICT sector to be able to grow or to be able to earn revenue, like India.
Yes.
And so Nigeria ICT sector it's not a resource. It's not a resource, a natural resource like others, like oil and mining based resource. You get it. It's an artificial resource. And that invariably means that everybody can participate in it. Yes. Unlike oil, that if you don't have oil, you can't participate in it. Unlike gold, like if you don't have gold, you can't participate. If you don't have fertile ground, you can't participate in it. ICT is not a natural resource, it's an artificial resource. Everyone can participate in it, everyone can grow in it, and everyone can leverage on the potential that it offers.
Very interesting. I like the word artificial resource. That makes it even more expansive, more inclusive. But then it needs, as you said, something artificial, and needs to be, there's something unique about it that should be applied to it in order to exploit the opportunities therein. How do we begin to? Does it have to do with needing more technical competencies in that area, or investment in money and resources, and what does it really take to make sure that this artificial resource is developed and sustained?
Well, there are so many factors, so many hands must be on the table for it to be effectively and efficiently utilized. The first thing is one. Before I even go into the other factors, there is a huge role of enabling environment that the government needs to play for it to grow exponentially. The rate at which we're growing, the role of government largely has been minimal. In fact, the government was able to see how individuals are picking up or are taking the ICT as an industry. That is why the government decided to invest in it. But again, will not take away the place of NCC, will not take away the place of NITDA in the whole growth rate and the whole coming of telecom. Because we're talking about ICT, we're talking about telecom industry, which largely came on in 2001 by the then President Olusegun Obasanjo's administration. But that was just the foundation, because that was what gave birth to the internet. The telecom gave birth to the internet, and now brought about numerous opportunities that is now possible using the internet. And now, in fact, it has now geared us towards the fourth industrial revolution that tends to leverage largely on digitalizing everything will be digitalized. So because we have that foundational requirement, which is availability of internet, then it now means that we can compete. But now, talking about after looking at that possibility, now let's look at the challenges. We've not been able to compete the way personally I would want because of some factors. One of it is the fact that if you go to our educational sector, it is not driving the kind of skill empowerment that the sector needs. Yes, I'm not running out the place of elective course curriculum, but I'm putting up the point of us ensuring that the core are more important than the elective.
Yeah.
Our course curriculum are too large, especially when it has to do with that sector, be it information technology, information technology management, computer science, software development, cybersecurity. If you want to look at it at the education line, you find out that the course curriculum are too much. Generally, Nigerian course curriculum are too much. But if we want to be able to effectively get the skilled manpower to power the sector, we need to redesign our curriculum, especially in the ICT sector. More importantly, in fact, that's what I'm getting to the whole concept of certification, where you don't need to go and pick a 4 years degree course for you to be a professional in ICT. All you need to do is to get the certification, get knowing how to do it. Once you're able to know how to do it, which is certified by a certification body, you're able to go, you get employed, you do what you need to do. You don't need to get employed if it is not in telcos, because telecoms require huge capital to run. But outside telecoms, we have the ICT, IT services, we have software development, we have hardware production, which we have not leveraged on. We have cybersecurity, which we're growing in. So there are so many other sectors that come under the ICT outside telcos. So if we are focusing so much on the telcos and neglecting the other service areas and hardware areas, it means we are not would not get the effective, efficient production that we truly desire. And now, with the coming on board of Starlink, which is the satellite, low orbit satellite that enables you to get connected to the internet. That is probably a discussion for another day, because that's largely going to affect telecoms.
Indeed, we're going to talk more about that Starlink, but that will be a big topic. Maybe sometime next week, we'll concentrate on that, because that's a huge one huge area that I know you're going to make a lot of impact. But issues of these challenges you have enumerated here, are they really? Can we find solutions to them? For instance, we talk about, yes, we have made improvements in the way even in our studies, computer science and the rest of them, but some areas, the technicalities require, like robotics, for instance. We don't already have that available. Even if it is available in Nigeria, it has not developed to the point where we can leverage on it to better that industry. And we're wondering why. And the world is moving towards that direction. Why are we not making effort?
Okay, now robotics largely, there are two concepts of robotics. There is the hardware part and there is the software part. The software part largely makes up artificial intelligence and machine learning. The hardware part is all about you ensuring that you get it right, robot and and wiring. We have electrical what's it called? We may not have courses. No, I'm not sure if I've come across any Nigerian university that's offering robotics as a course, but it's easier for you to switch from mechanical engineering to robotics if you're looking at that. Now, robotics as a course bridge the hardware and the software together. Okay, so what that invariably means that you can bring electromechanic and a software developer. You bring both of them together and you form a robotic engineer. You get, so we may not have that one core program that pushes robotics to its peak, but there are ways that can be achieved. But beyond that, there are it's ICT, so you can learn it out of the four walls of classroom. Get so there are persons that are doing there are even summer classes that largely focused on teaching children how to do robotics. You get there are some schools what's it called uh, secondary schools that are designing drones in Nigeria, in Abuja. Yes. So it's really, if you can design drones, most of the products or most of the hardware that you need in designing a drone, you can also use them for robotics. So if we're doing drone, it invariably means that we can also do robotics. But again, we need the expert guidance. We need a level of improvement in there's that awareness of robotics is not as much as it is when it has to do with other aspects of ICT.
Yes, and that is what I'm saying. We need to also look at that and see if we can do some investment in that area. It takes a lot of money and resources to do that. Just like many Nigerians have also complained that, yes, even in the telecom sector, have we been able to exploit all the opportunities? How many companies are actually doing great in the telecom sector? You may mention, okay, MTN, for instance, Airtel. You mentioned maybe Globacom and the rest of them who are actually doing, but it is actually difficult to break into that cycle because of the huge amount required to do that investment. MTN and the rest of them have their masts all over, and they also use generators to power those masts. You can see that from that sector, from that, there's already a challenge of poor power supply. So that in itself had actually hindered so many players that would have gone into that telecom sector to, in fact, expand the business and, in fact, create more opportunities. What do you say to that?
Well, it's just that most persons are not aware of the opportunities that exist in the telecom sector. So if you're looking for the huge fund to go in, it means that you would not go in because there are other aspects. You can go meet MTN and tell MTN that you want to be a mobile virtual network operator. Get network. MTN gives you a portion of your services, a portion of the infrastructure. You can say you want to be MVNO in Abuja, so they give you a portion of the network in Abuja, so you begin to resell in your brand. You get so yeah, you are still using MTN infrastructure or this telco's infrastructure, but now it's your brand. You can grow to the extent that you become bigger than you can begin to design your own infrastructure. That's one. You can also do what's it called, rural telephoning. There are problems within the telecom sector, and one of the problems is the fact that it's not all parts of Nigeria that it exists, and because mass doesn't go to that area, or they can't deploy mass in that area. Yeah. So what do? You launch your own telecom company that tends to want to go into rural telephoning using internet to power telecom services. That's a possibility. Without you, with satellite, you can do that. And with the whole coming on board of Starlink, enormous opportunity exists in the IoT and all that. So there are a whole lot of opportunities that exist. You can try to be a landline. Landline is dead in Nigeria, and the reason it's dead is because people have not seen the opportunity that exists in it. Because when you begin to have landline in families, that means you have every family has your target now means every family has a landline. It now means there is a stable fund in the house that you can use to get in touch with someone, not directly. Now that's going to help in ensuring that you manage children having to hold a mobile phone, because they're usually in the house. If they are not in school, they are at home. So if they are at home, they use the landline to do whatsoever communication they want to do, instead of them having a mobile phone. So there are just so many opportunities, but we've not been able to carry out feasibility studies to know the opportunities that exist in the telecom outside the old MTN. And you can start to also say what you want to do is to do infrastructure. Your own not concerns you with the whole service delivery, customer end, and all that. All you just do is move from place to place, erecting masts and renting those masts to the likes of MTN, because all the masts that we see, they are not owned by this telecoms provider. There are companies that their role, what they do is that they build the infrastructure and rent it out to telecoms providers, mobile service providers. So they pay rent. So you can have one mast, and all mobile service providers are renting your mast. So they are all paying to you as owner, because you are servicing the mast. You are doing you are providing power. you are providing the antenna and all the necessary. So they bring their equipment to set up and your space. So they pay you rent for using your mast. So there are so a lot of opportunities that exist. So you may not be seeing those kind of companies in the public.
Yes.
Because before now, nobody know of Mofair Communication.
Yes.
You get, but all of a sudden, we just heard that Mofair Communication is now has now acquired 5G license.
Yes.
So Mofair Communication, I beg your pardon. So there are some companies that exist that you would not know that they exist. You get, but they are making their good money. They are making their good cash, and I believe there are a whole lot of opportunities that exist outside the service provision.
It's very interesting, and I like that analysis there, so that Nigerians can understand that apart from the challenges they see, there are opportunities that you have just enumerated that they can also tap into. And that is why we're trying to say that this sector is very big and it's getting bigger. And Nigerians can key in, because right now we're talking about giving the youth more opportunities. They can leverage on what you have just said, like the Mofair Communication that got auction sale for MTN for 5G, which is a very good one for them. And this year, I think that will come into fruition in the long run. So, but there are other challenges that we're facing. Yes, Nigerians are becoming ICT savvy, very intelligent people. And as it goes with the positive, so does it go with the negatives. We have mentioned this a couple of times before now, about the issue of cyber security, for instance, where people now hack into other people's private information, steal those information and use it to defraud other people. So these are some of the things, and are we been able to manage this type of challenge that we have in the sector, like cyber crime, for instance?
We're doing the best we can, but we've not gotten to that state where I would say that we've effectively managed it. But you should understand that one thing about cyber security or cybercrime generally is you are as vulnerable as your connectivity. You get, among US as a country is the most vulnerable country in the world as long as cybercrime is concerned. And the reason is because they are the most connected country. So as we push into ensuring that we implement e-governance, we implement our broadband penetration plan, the e-currency, e-currency, digital economy. It now means that we are going to the state where we become connected. Every sector is connected to what sector? Every sector is connected to this sector, and that on the disadvantage of that is that it makes us more vulnerable. That means as we're going into those as we're getting connected, we should also begin to plan on mitigating security exposure that comes with the connectivity, and that's where cybercrime management comes to play. So there are a lot of things that have not been done, but there are a lot of things that can be done in the area of cybercrime, especially as well as to do with. We have the National Cybersecurity Policy and Strategy, implementing that, developing manpower. Currently, there are about 3.5 million cybersecurity vacant jobs, shortfall of jobs, 3.5 million.
3.5 million? Yes,
globally. And that number remains till 2025, according to cybersecurity vendors. So we have to develop skilled personnel that will fill in those fields. We also have to develop implement the cybersecurity policy and strategy to ensure that we catch up with what other countries are doing. We have to ensure that we have our own national cyber vulnerability research center that it goes to research on vulnerability, especially for products that are internally designed and used by the public, by the public and the government, so that once there are vulnerability, they report it to the necessary agency. Again, then we have to see how we can begin to work on getting a digitalized police force. Either we want to call it cyber police or digital police or whatsoever, just the way India did theirs. They have their own cyber police. You can't walk to any police station now and report and say that I was hacked, and they will have anything to say. Because we have not gotten to that. But it happens. People are hacked every day. People get their money hacked every day. Recently, wasn't it yesterday? A lady was complaining about 3 point something million, 4 point something million was removed from her account, and it happened 2 a.m. Yeah, so who would she report to at that time and all that? So now she has gone to the bank and all. So the people are losing funds every day. And but beyond that, beyond all these funds that are being used, the crime rate is growing because now we will get autonomous vehicles that drive itself. Now attacks can happen to those vehicles. We'll get planes that fly itself. Attacks can happen to those planes. In fact, as we can begin to. There are open source intelligence that gives you the ability to listen to communications between what's it called pilots and stations. So you can begin we can begin to listen to communications that are happening without even having to install anything. Just get the application. So open source intelligence are growing, and internet is growing, anonymity is growing. It's giving a whole lot of anonymity. You won't be able to know who's who, what is what. You're coming on board of version 6, IP version 6, giving room for over 6 billion devices to be connected to the internet with the old coming on board of Internet of Things. There's a lot of things. So crime rates would grow. Now we should project the growth rate and also work towards ensuring that we mitigate it. You can't throw away the dirty, the baby and the dirty water together. So what I usually say is you maximize the advantage that comes with every technology and minimize the disadvantage. Once you've been able to do that, you're good to go.
I think we have a lot to talk about in this sector because of some of the issues that you have raised. The investment is quite massive and the opportunities are great for the young people who are looking for jobs, especially now that we have about 33.3, is it 33.3% of unemployment rate in the country. So this sector provides that opportunity where the young people can, and if, like you said, it's even an artificial resource. So anybody with some good minds and good brains can actually leverage the sector and grow. But then it actually needs more investment because the India that is the ICT hub of the world today, the China that is the ICT hub of the world today also had something that the government of India did in terms of trying to make the place liberal, number one, and of course creating that enabling environment. The enabling environment they are talking about is also has to do with, you mentioned issues of research and development, which is very critical in every sector. The Indian government has played a very big role in ensuring that that sector of that research and development sector of the industry is kept alive with multiple levels of investment in them. That has kept India ahead in the ICT. I do not know how much of that investment we have made so far in trying to build research and development center in
as long as ICT is concerned, what the research and development happens at the company level, companies that are in the industry, not from the government. We don't have any. I don't think I've come across any ICT based research and development. So there is need for research to go fund to go into ICT research. But beyond that, I've always been an advocate of strategic funding of whatsoever project you want to do.
Yes.
But the first thing I think we need to do is to look at let's do research on the potentials of ICT. We've not done research on the potentials of ICT in Nigeria. Because let's start by doing a research on the potential. What is it that ICT can give to us? So that what area should we invest in if we want to invest? How many jobs? What's the size of job this area in ICT can create? If we want to invest, would we be investing in ICT services or ICT solutions or ICT products or ICT outsourcing? What area should we invest in? Not until you're able to carry out a research that gives you the potency that the ICT sector covers or can bring forth. You will just be investing in A instead of you investing in Z.
Wow. You can only hear it from the mouth of the expert. I can always say it from the point of professional training and experience. And it is always a great moment having you on the studio when it comes to this issue of ICT. We have been talking about strengthening the ICT sector in 2023, and I've been in the studio with an ICT expert himself, Haniel Jafaru, doing justice to this very important topic. You have heard it from him. We have to do more research in the ICT in terms of trying to look at the potential that ICT can offer to the Nigerian people and the Nigerian economy. So there is a very massive effort to be made in 2023. And I implore the government and stakeholders in the industry, especially the companies that are into this sector, to do the needful by investing in the research segment of the sector. And it's on that note that we draw the curtains on today's edition of Money Radio on Leadership Podcast. We promise to bring you a bumper edition when next will come. Bye-bye for now.
Thank you for watching. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.